You are listening to Danny on What the Heck podcast. This is the place where I share my experience, knowledge, and skills. Welcome along. Nice to have you here today. I have Chris Taylor, a good friend of mine. How long have we known each other for now, Chris?
Oh, about 100 years, I reckon.
100 years. That's very good. So I've got 12 questions with Danny. I'm going to ask you the one that you've already been asked and the rest you don't know. What is your favourite animal?
Definitely my dog.
That's right. We started this podcast about 20 minutes ago, and then I suddenly remembered my dog was in the dog room as they had to go pick him up, so we've started again. Question number 2. If money was no object, what would you do all day long?
If money was no object, I would run a orphanage in Africa for 1,000 children.
Yeah. Now, have you watched that movie Maso?
Oh, a wee while ago.
There's one on Netflix, and that's actually, he was helping the orphanages people over the war period. And to keep the kids occupied, he started doing his miming. It was a really good movie, actually. But I didn't actually know how he became Maso. Am I saying it right?
Marcel, yeah, the French guy, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really good story. Hunt it if you haven't seen it. I think it's relatively new on Netflix, so you might not have seen it.
Fascinating fact about Marcel Marceau, he once made a pass at David Bowie. And David Bowie, the musician, wanted to be a mime artist in the mid-'60s. And Marcel fancied David, but David wasn't having any of it.
Is Labyrinth, is that the right one?
Way before Labyrinth, Danny, sort of when he was finding his feet in the 60s.
Wow, how about that? Right, so this is probably a little bit not applicable so much with all the COVID stuff going on, but what form of public transportation do you prefer? And it's given us a multi-choice, but you can make it up. It's got air, boat, train, bus, car.
Probably bus, I'd say. Yeah.
I live in Northwood, and there's always a bus parked down the road, and he must sit there for about half an hour before his starting point. Yeah. And I'm just sort of want to jump on the bus and go for a full loop to see just what his day's like. Yeah, no, it's good. Have you travelled anywhere and taken any long bus trips?
Probably the longest one, Danny, was when I was a teen. I would get the bus from Newcastle to London, which is probably about 300 kilometres. Yeah, used to get on the National Express bus and get from Newcastle to London for about 12 quid or something crazy. I haven't been on a big bus trip in NZ, not yet anyway.
Yeah, you should try one in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like a roller coaster, and you're just along for the ride, and if you're going to die, you're going to die.
Yeah.
It's when you're going past all the other crashes that really alarm you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one here is more of a businessy sort of question. I'm just taking them off the top of the deck. I have 140 questions, to be honest. What inspires, it's wrong, fancy that. See, what inspires you about businesses and their growth? So what inspiration do you get from watching a business grow?
I think the businesses that have real sort of meaning for humanity, I mean, the whole social enterprise movement, I think, is amazing. I think those which are serving a genuine human need and they're actually serving the betterment of humans, it could be health or connection. Businesses that grow in that regard, I really have a lot of time and attention for. And not always growth for growth's sake is a good thing. So I'm really, keen observer on the social enterprise movement across the world. I think that's a great thing for us right now as humans.
Yeah, the COVID stuff is certainly bringing the human race closer together at the moment. Well, let's hope. Unless you're in America, but we're not talking about that. Okay, so as you don't know what you do yet, but this question is, what's your biggest complaint about your job?
Well, as you know, Danny, I don't have a job.
Yeah, so it's a fitting
But I
question.
could say my last full-time job, when I was an engineer, I had a what I would describe as a blocker boss. So he was like a point guard at basketball. Whatever was said and done, that person would just block. So that was a little bit frustrating at the time. Was that a complaint about the job? The job was fine. I was an engineer. I was quite good at it. Well paid, secure, but fundamentally, you know, boring. Yeah, so I think if I flip that into leadership, it's having leaders that are, a bit vulnerable and transparent, and those who want to have those around you grow as well. And I wasn't growing under that boss at that time.
And that was a 9 to 5 job?
Yeah, full-time employee for a consulting firm. Yeah, the firm was good. It was a good company. Yeah,
Yeah,
but there was.
Helen, my partner, and we worked yesterday and we thought, oh, this is great. We're getting time and a half and a day in lieu. So, you don't get that when you work for yourself, do you?
A day, a day in the toilet, eh? A day in
A
the
day
loo.
in the loo, yeah, instead. How do you view your competitors?
Not really, Danny. I
Mm,
mean, obviously, we've known each other for 7 or 8 years. It is the truth
yeah,
of your first question. I don't pay any attention to them whatsoever. That could be a flaw. I think we should focus on our own, on our own selves and our own game generally. If you're in business,
yeah.
focus on your strengths.
I think it's
Uh,
such an old-fashioned word, competitors, in your opposition, or I don't think it's so relevant today. But is it?
Well, it's interesting, Danny, you running Elite Six for many years and then going to, multi trade meetings, and you get some people just turn pale and green at the thought of being in a room with somebody from the same trade. And I think NZ is a little bit, dare I say, behind in just thinking, well, we can collaborate and share and grow together.
Mm,
Um, but you've got to get the values established at the front end so that works in a team. Um, but as a coach, I didn't see. There's one other guy in Christchurch who I really rate. You and I know him. He's more of a
mm,
trainer than a coach, and
yeah.
he would be that one person who, not a competitor because he's a friend, and I
Mm,
go for hikes with him. But I don't really pay much attention to competitors, Danny.
yeah. I
Mm.
think everyone's got something to share. Like with the business networking, it's always funny having 5 real estate agents from different companies in the same room. But I said, if you guys really worked it out, put yourself on one table, you'd always help each other grow. And
Danny, absolutely, a
mm,
1,000%. The tricky, it's all a mindset thing around, self, the level of sort of self orientation, pursuing your own paddock and then sharing for the community and growing the pie.
mm,
I think our experiences doing what we've done in business, well, more so yourself with Elite Six, you're just gonna. Some people are never gonna get it. They're never gonna get it. Doesn't matter if you've got a blackboard and a neon light that
yeah,
sharing and collaboration, we can all grow.
mm,
It's like talking, Japanese. They just won't understand it. So I think, yeah.
yeah, totally
Mm.
agree on that one. All right. How would your friends describe you?
What friends? What friends?
Each your friends. You got your dog, for goodness sake.
Oh, that's a great question, Danny. I would like to think so. Fun guy, doesn't take
Yeah.
life too seriously. Um,
It doesn't say how would you like your friends. It says would your friends. So yeah, it's a tricky question. I love these questions. They're so random, and every time I get them, I had chuckle to myself. I've had
yeah,
a room full of people when we've actually asked the same question to 20 people, and I've got 20 different answers.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is. I think with all my sort of close friends, I think I've probably got 6 or 7 close friends. What would they think of me? I think I would hope they say I care about them and their interests. If they're in a spot of bother, be it whatever, financially, relationship wise, I'd love them to think that they could reach out as a friend
Mm.
for just for support. Um, and
I think if I was to describe you, I'd say you really do care about people. And I don't think there is many people that generally do. They say, but they don't do. And I think that's one of your phrases. Actually, you get tired of people who say and don't do.
Oh yes, oh that's a hobby horse, isn't it, Danny? I think I blogged on that with you a few years ago.
Yeah,
People who say, I'll call you," and
yeah.
no,
Yeah,
they
no,
won't.
it amazes me, and I just don't even know how they survive. And that's a real weird one, that one, because statistically speaking, hand on heart, I reckon 5% of people really do care, and
Yeah,
and the rest just seem to say it, and that's a
yeah,
big statistic.
yeah. I think it's what I've learned. It's inauthenticity. We're all wired to pick up on inauthenticity about people. It's just how we read people,
Mm,
and that lack of humility. People pick up on that, and it affects trust.
yeah,
So absolutely, if you're listening here, if just do follow through on what you say, because that helps you build trust, whether it's in a family, whether it's in a business. Uh,
mm,
Follow through every time.
mm. Like it. We've got about four more, or maybe five more. No, that one's. I have the power to pass a question. That one's all about networking, which I'm sort of. Okay, how about this? Have you ever had a nickname, and why?
Yes, yes. At school, I was called T-Fowl.
T-Fowl.
Did you get the ads in New Zealand in the 80s, Danny, for the whiteware company T-Fowl? Well, I still do. They make, sort of cookers and pressure cookers and toasters and appliances. Well, they had this ad campaign where these eggheads in laboratories, they were white coats, but they had these enormous elevated foreheads
Yeah.
because they were kind of geeks and eggheads. And I've been privileged with a fairly significant forehead. So when I was, I don't know, in my teens, they'd call me T-Fowl,
T-Fowl. I don't even get it.
which really got to me. Well, there's this ad campaign, these guys walking around. You could YouTube it after this
Yeah.
if you like. And there's just these guys in a laboratory wandering around, but they've got these huge prosthetic foreheads.
Oh, right. Yeah.
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 So they'd call me T-Fowl.
Yeah. I've always
Yeah.
wondered how long I've had my forehead for, because my hair's getting shorter, and I kind of I can't remember when it was down here.
Yeah.
I think it's your old age, eh? I think we're both the same age, aren't you? I'm a
We
month
are, mate.
older.
Yeah. Big
Yeah.
5-0 this year, 1970 boys, I think, Danny.
Yeah, I reckon I've got that extra month gave me so much more wisdom. Okay, how many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak English, as we are doing on this wee podcast, and a little bit of French. A little
Ooh.
French.
I asked that question to David Clarkson, which you'll know, and he said everyone speaks two languages. Oh, fridge.
Right, that's the fun.
And I said, oh, now, isn't that funny technology? Gets you on the phone and then gets you on the computer. And I said, two. And he goes, yes, everyone has body language. And I thought,
Yes.
that
Yes.
was quite good.
Oh, that's eminently sage and a wise owl comment from David. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, this one's probably for the ladies, but how many pairs of shoes do you own?
Shoes, including sneakers and sandals.
Well, it's an interesting question for blokes, because they might have waders for fishing. They could have gum boots that tells people that they're outdoorsy. And when you get thinking about it, you think, actually, I do have an old pair of sneakers for the garden or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've probably been influenced by Angela, my lovely wife, on having more shoes than I need.
Yeah.
I've probably got. Let's just think about shoes and not sneakers or like outdoorsy leisure stuff. Probably 12 pairs,
Yeah.
15 maybe.
Have you got any
Yeah,
shiny ones?
I have. Yeah, a few years ago when I got into the speaking game, I bought some shiny shoes, which are now collecting dust upstairs.
Yeah. You have to polish them off. I haven't
Yeah,
worn a suit for a long time, and
yeah.
I've got some shiny patent leather shoes, which I love wearing with my suit. And they're all dusty, and it just looks. Yeah. And one of my best go-to shoes is actually from Men's Styles, just up down the road, and I actually really like them, and they're actually kind of like a sneaker, but I'm using them as a dressing shoe, which is sort of
Yeah,
weird,
yeah,
changing as we're getting older. All
yeah.
right, I think I'll give you three more questions, and then I'm going to ask you more about you, who you are and what you do. Where in the world would you travel to next?
Wow, where would I travel to?
It's an interesting question. That's changed lately.
I'm going to go for Mauritius. Mauritius. the island nation of Mauritius.
Yeah. They got the beautiful beaches, white sand.
I'll tell you why, Danny. Well, I went to college in London. There was a Mauritian there, and I was like 21, and he painted this paradise picture. And he was from a wealthy family owning all the hotels on the island. And ever since then, I thought I'd love to go to Mauritius. So yeah, I'll go for Mauritius.
Excellent. I must look it up and look up some photos. Okay, so what do you cherish the most about being here today? And I'm not talking about in here, but I mean just being alive today. What do you cherish the most?
I think the good fortune of health and family, without a doubt.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, primarily health, Danny. If we've got that, we've got everything in a sense. And I've been very lucky. I am lucky. So health, family, sort of good fortune in that regard.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's number one.
I think we got our priorities right with lockdown, didn't we? We really, to me, it come down to food, shelter, friends, and family, and that's all we need.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
world slowed down. I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of sadness going around the world at the moment. But the rush for being a success and having a business that brings in millions of dollars or whatever it is.
Well, I hope we learn from the COVID experience. I really do. Environmentally, business relationships, doing less. I mean, you talked about travel a moment ago, about air travel. And I said to Angela, if air travel declines, um, the benefit of the environment will be terrific.
Yeah. Well,
So I hope,
Apple's new phone's coming out, and they're doing away with the charger because it's going to save so much tonnage being flown through the air. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, what about us humans? I agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd
Hmm.
love to see Apple bring out a phone that's got a 10-year life, because
Uh,
Um, I've
not
got my
likely.
I've got my 6S here, and I got some. I was at you, Danny, the other week. Said, what on earth's that? Because it's only about 4 years old, and
Yeah.
you're getting looks over the shoulder.
No. Yeah,
Um,
they upgrade the latest one. You think, do I need it? And I'm trying to justify it. And then I looked at it, and the one I want is about $2,400 for a phone.
wow.
But if you sell your old one for around about $1,000, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Last wonderful question. What was your favorite subject at school?
Oh, that's an easy one. That was economics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did. In fact, my eldest daughters have picked economics at school, and I wanted to do economics at university, but I didn't quite get the grades.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I loved economics, and I felt it had a real world meaning, and yeah, but yeah, yeah, economics.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, thanks for coming along. So tell us, Chris Taylor, we know a little bit more about you. So who are you and what are you currently doing at the moment, Chris, in
Yeah.
life?
Thanks, Danny. So at the moment, I'm writing. I'm getting into authoring, which is off the back of sort of an 8, 9 year private business in coaching.
Hmm.
And just collecting stories, Danny. So I've got 100 story challenge underway with a sort of
Yeah, all right.
author coach to do 100 stories in 90 days, and that's what I'm doing. In fact, I did a short LinkedIn blog. I think you commented on it just today, Danny.
Is that
Around
the one with the fly?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So the metaphor of the fly there is, everyone's buzzing around and flying around, doing so much stuff in the connect in the world. And it's actually focusing on just creating content and writing the next, getting your stories from your mind into paper, or in this case, on a computer.
Hmm.
Um,
And your goal was to put them into a book?
yeah, it'll be a compilation, but it's just going to emerge and flow. It's a bit like it's a journey of discovery. So
Hmm.
I'm just going to create the content and then see what framing it'll go into. It could be a life manual, it could be it could
Hmm.
be something else.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm very lucky to be able to do that. I'm fortunate to not have the financial pressures per se
Hmm.
to necessitate having to work or maybe go back to employment. So I am very lucky. But I've also got 4 daughters, and I've got a quite a busy domestic.
4 daughters.
Yeah,
There was an
yeah,
old saying about having a daughter versus a son, and I think if you have a son, you only have one dick to worry about. Obviously, daughters, you have every dick to worry about. I
yeah.
don't know if you can say that on the interweb, but we just did. Yeah, but
Beep.
yeah, we can
Yeah,
beat that. We can blur it. Blur it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've it's got I share care with my older daughter, so no day is the same, and yeah. So, but I mentioned before we went on air, Dan, I'm still doing a bit of coaching. So I've got I don't know 5 or 6 sort of coaching clients. Some are commercial, some are non-commercial. I do quite a bit of youth mentoring, Danny.
Mm.
Yeah, just yeah, some mentoring some young guys in their 20s are just a bit lost at the moment. So a bit of life coaching.
That's pretty
And
cool. A friend of mine, his daughter was going off the rails a wee bit, and we hired a young lady who was, I think she was 26, and she did some coaching to her daughter who was 19 or 20, and
yeah,
really made a difference. It's really good stuff because I think at that age, youth are really looking for direction. And I remember when I was at that age, I just didn't know how to get life started.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
a real challenging time, Danny, for young people right now. I mean, I read in the paper last weekend that was, about the mental health crises and that school students are queuing up for counseling and, the social trauma they're faced with, you've mentioned COVID there, but we've got things like climate change, we've got smartphone addiction,
Mm.
fear of employment and the whole job market changing, AI, um, coupled with family disruption and divorce rates going sky high for a young person. I I can see looking ahead as it being quite
Yeah.
intimidating, the future.
If you look at the world as a massive swimming pool, all those problems, and then a young person have to dive into the world, and it's kind of like, what am I diving into here?
Yeah,
Most of
yeah.
them been hiding behind a video game, I think.
Well, that's right.
And you can make a living out of that now. It's just like, miss my opportunity
Yeah,
until you get RSI. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, so that's yeah. I work from home now, Danny. If I call it work.
Looks like you're working from the garage there, Chris, in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in my wee garage, and
Yeah,
I had an office for about 3.5 years in town,
yeah.
and over COVID, I let that go.
Mm.
So
Because
yeah,
Helen and I were working in a shared office space, which we did find quite good, and we had that social environment. I think that's the level of where business networking was going for me, is people now working together
mm,
independently as one, rather than just getting together in a business group. But at COVID, we went back home and we said we actually quite like it. And then we thought, I'm not going to feel guilty about doing what I like. I'm actually going to do what I want for a change,
yeah,
and conforming and all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
So and it is what it is, And a lot of people want to still get together face to face. And I said, well, here's a Zoom link. And they
yeah,
go, oh, I don't like that. And I go, well, that's how I roll.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, Danny, we all evolve and emerge and grow and change. And like, I worked at home initially when I was coaching, and honestly, it didn't work with the family. Then I had the office, and now I'm back home. So
Hmm.
it's whatever works for you, really. And those co-working spaces can be really cool, and a lot of buzz and energy and synergy, which is great. And if that's right for you or whoever's listening to this, go for it.
The most
Mm.
inspirational thing I've probably done with yourself probably
Mm.
would have been the St. James track. Uh, that was just amazing. And I did that 3 times in a year, once in a race. I think you might have done it a couple of times. Did you do the race as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
can't believe when we think back that we did that there was 5 of us and Stu. And
yeah,
Stu was the guy, everyone in this company for some reason pulled out. And our friend Mike decided that he needed a few
yeah,
fillers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was a hard yak.
You did really well. I think you did beat me on the mountain bike, which took
Yeah.
me a little while to get over, but I did get over it eventually. Um,
Yeah.
you were pretty fit then. That would be about 5 years ago, Danny.
Yeah.
You were.
Oh, it was amazing because I did it as a race originally. And I remember talking about competitors. One of my competitors turned up on this fancy Nancy bike,
Oh yeah,
and it had one gear. And then at the end of it, he's at the bottom of this, because I'd done it previously, he's at the bottom of the shingle part that you had to climb your bike up, and he's just about dying. And I remember giving him my last of my water.
Oh, mate.
And then there was this young whippersnapper on the race, and he was well ahead of me, but unfortunately, he got a flat tire. And as I'm going past him, I says, "Are you okay with that? Do you need a hand?" "No, I'm all good." "Great." I think I bet you all back. It was great.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Mike and I we're going to walk it. We're talking about Mike there. In January, we're doing 3 days on the St. James, just a tramp.
Yeah. You're going to go into the Boyle Hut?
Yeah, that's where we're meeting, Danny. We're meeting Boyle Village, I
was in Rotary, and they my Rotary was actually, they look after that hut. That's one of their charity things. And
really?
It's a Ring Your Rotary. It's quite good.
Right, interesting, Danny. Yeah.
I've actually never been to that hut, even though I say that.
Yeah.
No, that's good. A lot of that stuff, I think was people miss the business side of it, that you need to do stuff like that. Because that Stu had 5 punches, and I think when we're all coach-minded people, and we were all helping Stu along the way using our different strategy. And even though it was taking a toll on ourselves when we did it the first time, we still had enough energy to help somebody else out.
Yeah. There's a great point there, Danny, in coaching. When you're outdoors, you're on a different plane of thinking. So I've done a lot of walk and talk coaching, still do actually, really. Yeah. My preference, and this is influenced a lot from Mike, who gets out. This is Mike Catton, by the way, for anyone who's listening to the podcast. And predominantly I'm either doing Rapaki or Hagley Park, because I think you find, I don't know whether it's biochemically or neurochemically, people tend to detach themselves from the humdrum and the manicness when they're walking or exercising or mountain biking. And you can often get a deeper level of curiosity and inquisition in the mind, which can be quite impactful. So definitely walking and talking for coaching is fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. Helen and we make a point of doing something physical every day. So we've got this walk that we do, and it takes us an hour. Dog loves it. And like tonight, on a Tuesday, we actually hired a personal trainer, and he's helped me build up my core muscles in my back at the moment. But we said, whatever we do in business or life, we're going to make sure we do something every day, even if it's in the middle of the day at 12 o'clock and you're thinking you should be working. We just get up and go out and do our walk or something.
Danny, I couldn't agree more, mate. It's just the lifeblood of keeping active, keeping your blood flowing, and if you're going out with your partner, fantastic. It's quality time. You're investing in your health, and 100% for everyone listening.
Your priorities right quick, don't you? Hey, excellent, Chris. Thank you for coming along and being on my podcast. I'm going to turn this into a blog and share it as a podcast, and also I'm going to upload it to YouTube so people can watch it as well. So it's been nice having you along. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Cheers, Danny. Thanks, man.